This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, terror in London. We are joined by two brilliant intellectuals and geniuses. Matthew Vadum, an award-winning investigative journalist and a columnist for frontpagemag.com, and Daniel Greenfield, a Shillman Fellow at the David Horowitz Freedom Center, who writes the blog The Point at frontpagemag.com. Matthew and Daniel, what an honor to have you on the Glazov Gang.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be on with Matt for the first time.
Fantastic. Daniel, you're wearing...
I'm honored to be on with Daniel and with his hat.
Daniel, you're back with the hat. My email is overwhelmed. People are just writing from all over the world. What was your response about the hat?
Well, it's back by popular demand that people had their say. My wife still thinks it's a terrible idea, but for now she's been overruled by the voice of the people.
Excellent. And Matthew, you're a little bit jealous that you don't have a hat like Daniel, right?
Absolutely, yes. I'm seething with envy right now.
Okay, from the world of my attempted humor to the serious issues of our time, terror in London. Matthew, what did you make of this poor man who suffered probably from Islamophobia and racism, probably needed a job, is probably mentally ill, and we still don't know the motive of why he mowed down so many people, killed 4, including a policeman that he stabbed?
I wonder what it could be. Maybe seasonal affective disorder?
What do you make of it? What do you make of what happened and obviously the denial that set in immediately?
Well, you could tell just from the circumstances of it that it had all the markings of an Islamic terrorist attack. They're under instructions from Islamic State nowadays to weaponize their cars and to run people over and to get stabby with them. That's what they like to do. And my only concern, the only question that I had as soon as I heard about the attacks earlier today was the person Sunni or Shiite? Was the guy's name Abdul or was it Muhammad? This person who's trying to create his own Muslim Guy Fawkes Day right there outside the Parliament at Westminster.
Daniel, what do you make of it?
I mean, clearly this poor man has been suffering from Islamophobia, and we must remember 3 things. One, that has absolutely nothing to do with Islam. 2, the real story is that some guy named Muhammad got a dirty look on a bus, and now we have to worry about the real backlash that Muslims face every day. And of course, 3, it has absolutely nothing to do with Islam, until of course we find out that it does. But on a more practical note, this is now the 2nd attack targeting a major center of government by a Western nation. You had the Parliament Hill shootings in Canada. Now you've got an attack on Houses of Parliament in the UK. It's only a matter of time until we have an attack in Washington, D.C.
And scary it is, and yet you're right, it's just a matter of time because this denial is so entrenched. You know, even UK Home Secretary Amber Rudd said afterwards that the British people will work to defeat those who would harm, quote, our shared values of, quote, tolerance. So it's very interesting that instead of immediately denouncing jihad and saying that we need to expose the texts the Islamic texts that inspire and sanction this kind of behavior, that she's still trying to prop up multiculturalism, which is the gateway for this kind of thing. Matthew, your thoughts on that statement by the Home Secretary in the UK and why this denial is so important to the left?
Well, they don't want to recognize that it's Muslims doing this kind of thing, and so they make up excuses for them. And it was interesting that in her statement, I guess she kind of deflected and started talking about British values instead of talking about the hostile foreign jihadist values of the apparent attacker. So people are apologetic in Britain about what Britain stands for, and it's the same thing in the United States as well. People are politically correct and are in effect apologizing for their own nation when this kind of thing happens. The first thing on their minds for a lot of them, even after 9/11, was, oh my gosh, what is going to happen to the poor Muslims in this country? Think of the violent backlash that they're going to experience. And of course, there was no backlash, virtually no backlash. But this is the first sort of thing that comes to these people's minds.
And thank you so much, Matthew, for saying that, not just because it's so true, but we've got our other guest, Daniel, that I would say is an expert on why Islam is a cult of victimhood. And Daniel, I've read a lot of your work. Tell us about that. Why does Islam, it's an expert at being a victim, correct?
It's an expert at being a victim because it's an expert at being an aggressor. And so victimhood is the prerequisite. It's the prerequisite propaganda to actually invading somebody. You hurt me, now I'm going to attack you and kill you. This is how Islam operated since the days of Muhammad. Muhammad was always the victim. And of course, he would have to respond to this persecution by murdering, torturing, raping, and enslaving his enemies. This is really the original history of Islam. And it's continued this way almost without interruption, century after century. And this is exactly the same way that it operates today. Muslims need to believe that they're the victims, which is why you have this kind of confusing, they're going to deny that they were responsible for September 11th. It was the CIA. Then they will brag about being responsible for September 11th because they need to be the victims on the one hand. They need to be the victors on the other hand. And this is a mindset that, as I think you've written, really is very compatible with the left, which also needs to believe it's the representative of the victims. It's acting on their behalf. When it has the gulags, it's just really fighting for a more equal and a more just society, for a classless society. It's fighting for the working class by starving them to death. So Islam and the left are very much on this kind of level, as I believe you've written. And this is really why the left accepts Islamic propaganda and Islamic claims of victimhood.
Thank you, Daniel. Before we go, we got a couple minutes left. Please, as briefly as possible, gentlemen, on this side of the ocean, in terms of the United States, when we look at what's happened now at the UK, I think we would say that, again, it is confirmed that Trump is right. Matthew?
Well, yes, absolutely. We have reason to want to have a pause, if this is what we're talking about, on U.S. screening procedures for visa applicants from troubled Islamic terrorism producing regions of the world. We have every reason to want to look at these visa applicants more carefully, and it's a shame that at least 2 federal judges have enjoined President Trump's latest executive order having to do with the so-called travel ban and extreme vetting of visa and refugee applicants. It's something we have to do. And we're going to have to start doing it whether the left wants it done or not.
Yeah, and I think that just one undeniable truth is that if people like Robert Spencer or Steve Emerson or Brigitte Gabriel or Nani Darwish, if they had been around Obama and forced him to implement certain policies, instead of the Muslim Brotherhood being around him, that San Bernardino, Orlando, Boston Marathon Massacre, those terrorist attacks simply would not have happened. They could have easily have been stopped if the people who want to defend this civilization could do what needs to be done. And Trump is, thank God, on the way to doing that. Daniel?
So right before this happened, the media was very outraged about Trump's supposed racist ban of laptop batteries on flights from certain Middle Eastern countries. The UK and the US had both done it because they had intelligence seized in the Yemeni raid, which supposedly had yielded no useful intelligence whatsoever about an Al-Qaeda, ISIS type of plot involving explosives. They were ridiculing the idea that this was a known issue. And now we go to today and we've had this horrifying terrorist attack in the UK. And of course, they will have learned absolutely nothing from it. Instead, they will denounce every effort at actually fighting terrorism and restricting terrorism as being racist, as being ill-advised, as being liable to backfire on us. Now, the simple reality is that this administration needs to go ahead and do what is right. without caring very much about this kind of interference, because the interference is always going to be there, and the public knows what is right. The public is waking up. It's waking up in the UK. It's waking up in America. It's waking up around the world to what needs to be done.
Thank you so much. Now, we now have a new policy of ending on a personal note at the end of each program, and I'd like to start with you, Matthew, under 30 seconds, please. What are the chances in the future from 1 to 100, 100 being the most chance that you might convert to Islam?
Somewhere between negative 50 and negative 100, I would say. That would be about right.
So just about zero then. Daniel?
Well, it's really a tough decision. I mean, there are just so many other things I want to do beforehand. Swim in a lake of acid, play handball with a hand grenade, and of course, go on America's Got Talent to do my award-winning performance of Ozzy Osbourne covers.
You know, gentlemen, you both are scholars and intellectuals, but both of you belong, I think, at also doing stand-up comedy. Wonderful humor. Thank you for joining the Glazov Gang.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you. And you can find Matthew Vadum at frontpagemag.com, wonderful columnist at that wonderful magazine, and Daniel Greenfield at The Point at frontpagemag.com. Thank you for watching the Glazov Gang this evening. If you support us and like what we do, go to jamieglazov.com to support the show. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel of the Glazov Gang, shame on you. Good night.